October 2020, the Minister of Finance then did present a ministerial statement to the National Assembly of Zambia on the country's public debt management strategy. In the statement, the minister indicated that the country, through the Treasury, was at the time in the process of implementing a liability management exercise aimed at restoring debt sustainability, and as part of that process, the government was engaging its creditors to seek their approval for the suspension on debt servicing payments for a period of 6 months. This debt service stands off is still in effect. Corrective measures. As the mandate for acquiring and servicing debt sits with the Minister of Finance and the National Planning, we await their guidance on the way forward as regard to the debt restructuring process and its implications on the institutions that provided financing for the housing project. C. Failure to recover cost and the reimbursement expense contract with Roadstar International Limited. Chair, on 4th September 2012, the Minister of Home Affairs signed a contract with the Roadstar International, LCC company of the United States of America for the construction of 12,700 housing units for uniformed officers at a total cost value of US 556,300,000. In December 2014, the project was retendered, resulting in Roadstar International suing the Republic of Zambia in the London Court of International Arbitration for breach of contract, claiming losses suffered amounting to US 224,645,395. Government engaged Messrs. DLA Piper UK as its legal representatives. In 2020, the court dismissed all claims by Roadstar against the government and condemned them in costs. The court ordered Roadstar International to pay the government $2 million United States in respect of legal fees and other costs in amounts totaling to US 197,55 in a reimbursement of the government deposit in respect of the fund holder, the London Court of International Arbitration. In a letter dated 5th November 2020, the Solicitor General wrote to the Ministry expressing his desire not to pursue the costs awarded by the court in favor of Zambia against Roadstar. He stated that it would be inexpensive to pursue the matter considering information that Roadstar US and Roadstar Zambia had no significant assets to enforce the award, and that there was a significant risk that costs will be incurred with no significant recovery. The decision by Solicitor General not to pursue costs awarded by the tribunal in favor of Zambia against Roadstar was questionable in that no demand was made and there was no evidence that authority to forego the United States $2 million by government was granted by the Treasury, by the Secretary to the Treasury, in line with Section 482B that empowers the Secretary to the Treasury to write off recoverable amounts of revenue, debt, and overpayment. Cause. The observation by the Auditor General is acknowledged. It's regrettable that authority of the Secretary to the Treasury to forego their award of costs had not been obtained. This was an oversight on the part of the Ministry to rely on the letter from the Solicitor General at the time. Collective actions. The committee may wish to note that the matter has been brought to the attention of the Secretary to the Treasury for his guidance on the matter as advised by Solicitor General. The Ministry awaits a feedback from the Treasury. Appendix D, letter to the Secretary to the Treasury. Procurement contracts awarded without competition. The Public Procurement Regulation number 12(1) of 2011 requires that a procuring entity should use open bidding for all procurement of goods, works, and non-consulting services, except where procurement meets the conditions of the use of limited bidding. Further, Zambia Public Procurement Authority, Circular 1 of 2013, provided for the default method for the tendering for all goods, works, and non-consulting service above 500,000 kwacha was open bidding. Contrary to the regulation and the circular, the ministry awarded 6 contracts with a total value of kwacha 42,210,540 to 4 suppliers without subjecting them to competition. See table below. Chair table 2, these are contracts awarded without competition, and the quick of it is Mikalile Trading, International Trade Network, Lactec Enterprise, and Ethnet Digital Solutions. Cause: the observation by the Auditor General is acknowledged. However, the committee may wish to note that the following obtained. Mikalile, 1.5 million security pouches. The decision to direct bid Mikalile Trading for the supply and delivery of 1,500,000 security pouches was in line with ZPPA Circular number 3 of 2017, which guided on direct bidding without prior authority and no objection by the authority. Item C under the circular applies and states that procurements where standardization and compatibility is required, and very important, i.e., where additional goods, works, or services must be procured from the same source because of the need for compatibility, standardization, or continuity. In this case, the engagement of Mikalile Trading was a continuation from an earlier award to supply 1 million security pouches in 2019. Appendix E. International Trade Network, 150 photo kiosk. The decision to direct bid international trade for supply and delivery of 150 portable photo kiosks was based on the position that requires brand from few feature film. Few feature film only distributed distributed in the region under a sole distributorship awarded to International Trade Network. On the basis, an application was made to ZPPA for a no objection to direct bid. International Trade Network. Having considered the application, ZPPA issued a no objection. Appendix F is a ZPPA no objection notice of sole distribution of feature film production. Internet digital solution, 280 portable laminators. The committee may wish to note that initially there was an award through limited tender to Ethnet Solution to supply and deliver 400 portable laminators. However, due to challenges with the release of funds, and lapses of time, the supplier's source in South Korea could not confirm the supply as they had run out of laminators. Given the foregoing, the ministry extended an invitation to the other participants for the supply and delivery as per specification, but due to the tight delivery period, the other participants could not commit to deliver within the intended lead time. On the other hand, Ethernet Digital Solution were offering an alternative type of laminators to be sourced from South Africa. However, this type had a higher specification and therefore was more expensive and meant that fewer quantities were procured. At the point, the ministry did not have many options but to engage ethnic solutions through single sourcing. Accordingly, an application for an objection was made to ZPPA advancing the circumstances. Having considered the justification, ZPPA granted a no objection. Which one? Chair, an addendum was saved where LECTEC was omitted. Chair, the issue of change of Chair, on LACTEC contract awarded without competing LACTEC enterprises. The observation made by the Auditor General is acknowledged. However, the committee may wish to note that LECTEC was awarded the contract through limited bid.
Yes, maybe just guidance. I think let's look on the addendum.
Okay.
What page are you on the addendum? Okay, you can proceed, PS. I think it's a first. Is it your first page of your addendum, right?
Yes, sir.
Supplementary notes for program 21
yes,
and competitive
yes,
procurement.
Yes, sir.
Just the first page.
So, Chair, the observation made by the Auditor General is acknowledged. However, the committee may wish to note that LECTEC was awarded the contract through limited bidding with other 4 competitors, which was in accordance with the Public Procurement Act of 2014. Find attached committee paper number 33, which is Appendix E. Chair, I humbly submit.
Thank you, PS, for your submission. Honorable members, that's a submission by the PS, Home Affairs and Internal Security, paragraph 21. I should believe they're still trying to go around people and that information we've requested. So, honorable colleagues, I'll ask that we proceed with 21 while we've got those issues pending to that effect. So, proceed with paragraph 21 on item A, budget, funding, and expenditure. If there are questions to that effect, honorable members, you can proceed. Honorable Amnima can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Controlling Officer, I just want to get some clarity on this, where you acknowledge that you had 20 million unspent at the end of the year. Is there a reason why the money wasn't spent? And did we make any efforts to apply for retention? Thank you very much.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
Director of Finance. Chair, may I redirect to Director of Finance?
Director of Finance, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. At the close of business, the Ministry of Home Affairs had a balance of 20,021,733, which was not spent at the time we were closing our accounts. You may wish to note that there were a number of payments which were in process but were cut off by the time when finance closes the system. We did write request for a supplementary, and were granted 4,944,737.75. Remember, at this point, the Treasury had indicated that they will not entertain requests for retention of funds during the fiscal year 2022. I submit, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, why did you fail to utilize the aforesaid funds? Why was it difficult for you to exhaust the funds under the period under review? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Through the PS Director Finance, you can proceed.
Basically, Chair, it is the procurement processes which were concluding at almost the end of the year, and the lead time to process this payment were a bit caught up on that, and hence could not conclude with the payments at the time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We can move to B. Before even Honorable Daka comes in, PS, I hope on these items of contracts you've come with people who help us to answer some of these questions. And we would like to find out as a committee, first and foremost, this Mikalile, all the contracts are direct bidded. Why? Why was it not subjected to competition? Then on the same issue on B, secondly, is that this company is not it's not conversant with handling services, clearing of equipment or whatever it is. Why was it given a contract to carry out these handling services to that effect by the ministry? Honorable Daka, you can proceed with the question.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the committee is at sea now. Considering the fact that it's failing to understand how the ministry went ahead to accept a change of address, principal address, because the understanding is that the two companies, Mikalile Zambia and Mikalile whatever Hong Kong, are two different entities. And the one that participated in this very assignment was the Zambian branch. And the committee now finds it difficult. Where did they get authority to accept the change of address or to transfer a contract which was under a different company to a totally different company, Chair? I submit, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair, can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is allied on Honorable Daka's question. I want to find out whether the directors for Mikalile Hong Kong and Mica Motors are the same. Because the way it's coming out is like it's the same directors. Can we be guided, PS?
I think, PS, you can proceed and answer those questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll let Mr. Mtala answer, and then I'll come in. Thank you, Chair.
Procurement, you can proceed. I hope you were there this 2020 when these things were happening.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm I was there. And allow me just to tackle in order to tackle this matter adequately. Maybe I give a synopsis of the sequence of events surrounding this matter. It was historical in nature, so I think I need to put it in context how we could have arrived at Mica Motors Limited to execute these services. These services were linked to a contract that was signed between the ministry and the Polytechnologies of China to supply various goods, equipment for the four security wings under the Ministry of Home Affairs. However, it was a loan. It was a loan, and it was signed on a CIP Dar es Salaam basis. So that contract, their services ended at delivering the goods or equipment at the port of discharge at Dar es Salaam. From there, the Zambian government had the responsibility of picking up the goods from Dar es Salaam and moving them into Zambia. So that is how the issue of the movement of goods from Dar es Salaam came in. Typically, a contract is supposed to be CIA up to the end of the destination where the goods are required. So this was a unique kind of contract, and normally a contract is supposed to be up to final destination. So it's a very rare kind of procurement where you procure this kind of services, I must mention. And having said that, the contract, the contract, the loan finance contract, was effected in 2018-2019.
Chair, point of order. You asked a very simple and straightforward question. I do not understand why the head of procurement is giving us information that is irrelevant. You asked a very simple and straightforward question, but he seems to be taking us in the wilderness.
Thank you, Honorable Mkosa. Procurement, answer questions as asked. We do appreciate you have the background, but answer question as asked, because we don't want a lot of historical issues, because we've got precise issues to deal with. First and foremost, how do you sign a contract which is CIF Dar es Salaam when your things are supposed to be delivered in country? You can proceed with the questions which were asked.
I'm guided, Chair. I just wanted to just to avail this committee that information. Needless to say, when the goods were arrived at Dar es Salaam, we engaged Zam Cargo, which is a company incorporated under IDC, the Ministry of Finance. And that's the one that we expected to execute these services. However, of note, Treasury had not released the funds for executing these services. That is the movement, the clearing and the movements of the goods. This was a very big contract, and Zam Cargo, the one which is we are expected as government to contract for moving the goods from Dar es Salaam, unfortunately did not have capacity. We engaged them, they moved a bit. However, we started incurring storage and demurrage costs. Okay, and to that effect, they wrote to us to say, if you don't pay, you end up losing this cargo. And these containers may be lost, and it was going to be it's advantage to the government.
So procurement. Procurement. The question is, why did you direct bid Mikalile, and the aforesaid company was not, their object clause is not even handling of or clearing services or handling of shipments? That is a question. And you direct bidded. Why? That is a question. So that Zam Cargo issue, just tell us why it was done like that.
Yes.
Honorable Mfarari, you wanted to say something.
Chair, I wanted to say we have heard what the head procurement. We have heard what the head of procurement has said. Head of procurement, just be specific with your answers. You don't have to go into all over the show to direct bid. I'm able to understand what you're talking about, and even in your statement, I'm able to read between lines what you mean. But you are not coming straight forth. You are not coming straight. Just come straight to help the committee to understand what the situation you found yourself in. Go straight. Chair, I submit.
Thank you. Former Head Procurement, Minister of Home Affairs, you can proceed.
Thank you for the guidance, Chair. Yes, indeed, because of the emergency situation that we found ourselves in, because the company that we had contracted earlier had no capacity, so that's how we ended up direct bidding Mika Motors. Mika Motors at area submitted a profile about their services that they're offering, that Mika Trading had informed us about their sister company that they had established in Hong Kong, which was executing same services, supplying goods and services to the Ministry of Home Affairs in Tanzania. And I introduced to us that in case there anything that is related to bringing goods from China, we are doing this. So when we had that situation, that's when we jumped to the occasion of direct bidding Mika Motors. And to that effect, we had written to ZPPA to obtain authority in favor of Mika Motors China, Hong Kong. And I think the authority was granted, and it's there to in our submission. So that's how Mika Motors was submitted. Maybe just to go ahead, if I can proceed with, because there are a number of questions that were.
Yes, you can proceed with other questions. That one you have not answered. To bring you back to that, you can proceed with the two questions. Yes, you can proceed.
Yes, so maybe on the direct bidding, it was an emergency because the goods had left China, and clearly Zam Cargo was not equal to the task. So we had to look for a company that had capacity to move these goods to Zambia. So that's the situation that we are in. We had no choice but to direct bid. If we had gone the competitive way, we are going to lose out on time, and it was going to be more costly to government because we are going to incur more demurrage costs and storage costs, which were clearly tabulated by Zam Cargo. So that's how we moved to Mika Motors via direct bidding. So that's my submission on direct bidding. In terms of address, of course, when they submitted Mika Motors, they have offices as well in Zambia, and they are heading at both addresses of Hong Kong and Zambia. And unfortunately, when we drafted the contract, we indicated, or we picked the Zambian address. We picked the Zambian address, and that's how it was submitted to justice, which anomaly was discovered later, and we had to address that through an addendum, as it is, which is the addendum which is attached chair. So indeed, it was Mika Motors Hong Kong to start with, as evidenced by even the clearance from ZPPA, because that's how we identified it as Hong Kong Mika Motors. But unfortunately, at the time we were drafting the contract, we picked the address of their offices in Zambia, which was rectified through addendum number 2, Chair. So that is what led to the amendment of the address. It was a correction. Otherwise, if you look at the authority that was granted, it was for Hong Kong, China, from the beginning.
Yes, Honorable Daka.
Is it the procurement officer? Yes. Is in order, Chair, to mislead the committee that it was through addendum number 2, when in the PS submission, it indicates that it was through addendum number 1, which we have failed to trace here. Because, you know, Chair, this committee doesn't speculate, it relies on facts. And as such, the member who is responding to the issue to do the change of a principal address should be able to lay the aforesaid document on the table as a proof that what is alleging is a true reflection of what happened. I submit, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. And I don't see addendum number. Any addendum? Is it appendix what? B, yeah? Appendix B.
Chair, I thought you said the supplementary which has just been which was shared.
Sorry?
The supplementary.
Supplementary. Okay, just check, honorable members. As we are checking, we'll proceed. Honorable Mumba, Honorable Wamunyima, I think I saw Honorable Melisiana, Honorable Kalalwe, and Honorable Lumai in that order. Honorable Mumba, you can proceed as we are checking for the addendum.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think let me just make a confirmation on what I wanted to ask. Maybe my colleagues can proceed.
Honorable Amnyima, you can proceed with your question.
Chair, when you look at this contract and what the Procurement Act requires, the procurement personnel who was talking has not clearly stated what informed them to direct bid Mika Motors, Mika Hong Kong, all these, the same company with different, probably, I don't know how you, what informed you to direct bid them? What was the basis?
I think Honorable Piri can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a follow-up question on the change of address. I just want to find out who authorized the amendment of the address under addendum number 1, though we haven't seen addendum number 1. Who authorized the change of address? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Kalalo, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Former head of procurement at Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. The bid data sheets, when you put out when you gave the document to the bidder, who in this case was Mika Motors, the bid data sheet specifically requested that the bidder should have operated for 5 years, and in those 5 years at least should have had 2 running contracts of a similar nature, which is in shipment and clearing. Okay? Now, despite that being provided, Mika Motors never provided any experience of that sort or any experience related to anything else. But the sister company, which you have told us here that Mikalile Trading is a sister company to Mika Motors, is the one that provided the experience to support the bid by the sister company. And the experience that they provided is nothing to do with clearing or shipment services. The experience that they provided has everything to do with supply of furniture, supply of batteries, and other things that are not related to shipment and clearing. Where did you get the confidence that Mika Motors had done clearing services and they deserved to be given this contract, where you are alleging that you had an emergency? Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Head of Procurement, you can proceed and answer those questions which have been asked by the honorable members through the PS, because I think there are a lot of questions. Honorable Mumbai will come in, let him first attempt to answer. And also I want you to state what was the position before you direct bidded this Mika Motors. Didn't you know that the goods were coming? Were you not aware of your lead time? What didn't you have the planning department to ascertain? You can proceed and answer their questions. My question, you can address it when you finish the questions for the honorable members. You can proceed to procurement.
Thank you, Chair. Like I indicated earlier, the justification for direct bidding, Mikaile, because it was because of the circumstances that we have found.
Before you proceed, honorable members, that addendum which has been submitted now was not submitted to Auditor General, so I think it cannot be admitted now. We would want Auditor General to look at it and authenticate it. Some of these things can be doctored. So that addendum you alluded to earlier, we are withdrawing it. in your submission. Let it be verified. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I was trying to clarify on the issue of the direct bidding. I did indicate earlier that the circumstance that we found ourselves in is such that the equipment and the goods had already been planned and already was in dispatch from China, and unfortunately the company that we had engaged, Zambia demonstrated that they didn't have capacity. To that effect, they had even written to the ministry because...
Mr. Head Procurement, we've heard that submission. The question is, answer Honorable Mkosa's question. In your document, there were conditions which you abrogated as procurement yourselves and went ahead and gave it to Mikalile, who had not done such kind of business before. Notwithstanding that, yes, their sister company had done that business, which we don't know as well. That is your submission. Because if we tell you provide that evidence, that's another business. But can you answer the question why you proceeded with a person who had no experience? Don't tell us Zamkago, you do understand. You've done your submission. Now, let's proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I was just trying to clarify because it came up, that issue of direct bidding again. Nonetheless, with regards to Mika Motors, in terms of experience, the bid they submitted, I wish to acknowledge that they had mixed information from both Mika Motors and the Mikalile Trading. From Mikalile Motors, of course, there was a submission from what they had executed similarly from Tanzania for the same goods, for equipment under Home Affairs. So there is a contract which Mika Motors had, a running contract in Tanzania, which was which gave us the confidence. I was asked that question, which gave us the confidence that they are equal to the task, and that contract was successfully executed. So this was a basis for us to say Mika Motors.
Mr. Head Procurement, we don't care about Tanzania. As we are saying, where did you base your decision? Because in your same document, the object clause of that company here was not involved in such kind of a service. Maybe Honorable Mkosa can make a follow-up question then on the same aspect.
I believe you have this submission that has been given to us by the PS. When you go to page 3, I will read for you under award of contract to ineligible bidders. That is, I think, the 3rd paragraph. Section 5B of the bid data sheet provided that the experience required of the bidder included as a minimum that in the previous 5 years, the bidder had performed at least 2 running clearing contracts under consideration. Further, the bidder was to submit information of the contract value, description of services performed, purchaser's name and address. Then it goes to say, however, the evidence of the experience that was submitted was for Mikalile Trading and not Mika Motors, meaning there was no evidence that was provided for Mika Motors. There was no evidence of experience. Further, the experience was in relation to contracts for the supply of furniture, tires, equipment, batteries, and not clearing services. It clearly states, and not clearing services. In this regard, the consideration of the bidder as responsive was questionable in that it did not meet the criteria of having performed similar services. Cause, and I believe this is the position of the ministry as presented by the controlling officer. The observation of the Auditor General is acknowledged. It is regrettable that the evidence of experience submitted in the bid document related to Mikalile Trading rather than Mika Motors the ministry has not denied that the experience that was provided was not for me, was not for Mika. The ministry has not denied. Why are you coming to deny here? Do you want to mislead us? Chair, the ministry has not denied. Why is he changing his position? Besides, he's bringing in the issue of Zam cargo, which they have not stated here as the reason. There is no reason that has been given here in this submission that there was an emergency. There is nothing like that. And if that was the case, why didn't you inform the permanent secretary so that this should have been indicated in his submission? I don't know, Chair, if we are going to proceed with the gentleman looking at the way he's misleading us.
Thank you, Honorable Mkosa. The former head of procurement, when a submission is done before this committee, you have to go by your submission. Unless you are telling the PS to withdraw the entire submission, you need to go back and receipt and start making those different oral submissions, which I believe is not the case. State the position. If you don't have an answer, tell us, I don't have an answer here, and why we did this is this. Don't start giving a new submission apart from what your PS has submitted already, because we believe you sit as a minister and say, procurement, what happened here? You give your submission, then that's what is now submitted by PS. So you are guided. You can proceed and answer the remaining questions before honorable members come in to ask these questions. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair, again. As you have guided, we are confined to the submission that has been made by the PS. So I think the responses I've made are confined to, I'll confine myself to what has been submission. I was hoping I could give additional information, but I'm guided.
We are not saying don't answer the questions. Answer the questions. You are guided to be within the submission, but answer the questions which have been asked. Because honorable members wants to proceed and answer questions. The question for Honorable Dak has not been answered. The one for Honorable Mkosa has not been answered. Even for the Vice Chair, I haven't answered the questions. Okay, rephrase. So that others can ask it.
These two companies, for under Mikadile and Mika Motors, who have been made to believe that they are sister companies. I mean, Chair, why should they issue an addendum to that effect to correct the principal address when basically they are sister companies? Why didn't they just go ahead and supply whatever they were contracted for through the sister company in Zambia? Why were they making these amendments? That's what we want to know. And who gave them authority? Was it cleared by Attorney General, this very addendum? I submit, Chairperson.
You can proceed, head of procurement, through the PS.
Yes, Chair. Like I indicated at the beginning to say, the authority that was granted or obtained from ZPPA was consistent with Mika Motors Hong Kong. It was in favor of Mika Motors Hong Kong. So there it was about consistency. At the time when drawing the contract, like I indicated, there was that error of capturing the Zambian address, which we had to amend to make it consistent with the authority that was initially granted in favor of Mika Hong Kong, China. So that what led to that amendment of the address. In terms of experience, of course, they had mixed. I wish to acknowledge that mixed both experiences for Mika Motors and Mika Trading. But what was relevant to us was the experience of Mika Motors, the contract that they had executed before. So that's what gave us the motivation to say, okay, they're equal to the task because of they responded.
Withdraw that statement of equal to the task. They are not equal to the task. That's why you are here explaining. You can't come before this honorable committee and saying they are equal to the task when you are abrogating the same clauses in your same contract. Okay? Honorable Mumba and Honorable Lumai will proceed after the point of order. Yes, Honorable Mfarari.
I'm getting confused, Chair. I need your guidance. What is being questioned here, is it the contract or terms of reference? Because it looks like we will end up mixing the requirements that were, this is not a contract, this is the requirements that you needed, isn't it? This is what we are questioning here.
There are actually two issues, Honorable Member. There's these requirements which are clauses in the contract, which in their bid document, a person to be awarded needed to have done this business in their previous dealings. A certain contract sum should be provided that it was running or they have done it before. Then there's also an issue of the now changing to the other, to change of address. You see, now to authenticate that, yes, now we're dealing, it's more or less the same company, but now we are leaning on the experience of the other company having done the same thing. And this was an afterthought because they wanted now to authenticate things. That is where the issue is. They saw that in the first place. Why did they proceed? Now, after they abrogated, then they come in now to correct, and they start now writing all these letters to Attorney General to just ratify their mistake or their purported dealings. Honorable Mumba, you can proceed, then Honorable Umai.
Thank you, Chairperson. PS, it's unfortunate that you security wings have continued to actually take advantage of your positions as security wings. PS, I'm talking. If you check, 90% of your contracts are all single-sourced, and you hide under the veil of security. I know, Chairperson, you have advised that this document, which has come, needs to be verified by Auditor General, the supplementary information, but I'll still add one or two points from here because there's already an indication of loss of money, and then compare with how much Mikalile charged. So, first of all, procurement. Are you aware that in Zambia there is a clearing and forwarding agency that all clearing and forwarding companies are members to, and they are regulated by ZRA? And if you are aware, where have you drawn the experience of this Mika Motors? Because all the clearing and forwarding agencies here in Zambia have an organization, all of them register there, and that is why they have categories. The same way there is NCC, which has grade 1 up to grade 6. So this equal to the task you keep talking about. Where did you draw the experience from? Because if we brought the forwarding and clearing agency, which is very, very organized, I think it even has a president and so on, they will be able to categorize the clearing and forwarding companies that are able to carry out these responsibilities. Secondly, Chairperson, I've read that on the 2nd of October, this same letter, although to be verified, it's interesting, the Zam Cargo, which he's claiming to lack capacity, I hope he also knows that it's a unit under Ministry of Finance, under the companies under Moffed. And I don't know of any Ministry of Finance company which produces profits you can call lacks capacity. And after all, these loans are managed by Ministry of Finance. So if you put pressure on Ministry of Finance to say your company in Tanzania, which is managing this particular consignment, needs financial support, definitely that money would have been given out. Just like this $159,000, which we right now I can consider a loss, because you went and paid Mikalile $1.1 million, or Mika, whatever you're calling it, $1.5 million. So if we add this $159,000, we're talking almost $1.7 million in a country that is failing to pay suppliers and contractors on time. PS, why would you allow such unnecessary expenditure? It's a government loan, in fact, a loan for the people of Zambia, because the people of Zambia are the ones that pay through taxes so that you can have good services. Then as they trust you, you take advantage of their trust and waste money like this. Why would you allow something like this to happen in your ministry? And why this particular company under your ministry? I think one of my colleagues did ask you that. What's so special about this company? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. And I don't even know what to ask you now. Honorable Umai, maybe proceed.
Mr. Chairman, this query here is very straight. I'm wondering, Chair, why we are at sea, maybe the ministry itself, because, Chair, the contract here was for the supply by Poly Technologies, that is 387 motor vehicles. Now, what I'm failing to understand, Chair, at what point did this become an emergency? Because the 387 motor vehicles were to be supplied by Poly Technologies. And I don't know, I want to understand at what point did this become an emergency? Because when you are ordering vehicles in that contract, Chair, you must know that these vehicles have ordered whether from China or from Dubai or from Japan. This company is supposed to deliver them straight to Zambia. Now, Chair, 387 vehicles just to do port issues. You need to go and get somebody who doesn't know or who doesn't deal with this business of dealing at the port. So I just want to understand in the contract itself to the supplier who supplied the 387 vehicles, what was the arrangement?
Thank you. Procurement, you can proceed through the PS. Honorable members, even as it proceeds, this contract is a sham, and it won't bring anything different. It was actually just collusion and whatever you can call it. It's theft. You can proceed through the PS if you've got your last submissions. We're just wasting time on this aspect. You can proceed, the head procurement.
The contract with Poly, like I indicated earlier, it was signed up to Dar es Salaam. That was how it was done long time, 2014, before I even went there myself. I found it like that. So we are just facilitating for the movement of the vehicles. It was not only vehicles, Chair, it was several other equipment that was in this loan finance contract.
But it doesn't matter. What we can't accept before this committee is, you can switch off your mic, if you coming here and telling us that Zamcargo didn't have capacity when that company sits under the Minister of Finance, and you can push the Minister of Finance through the Treasury to pay this Zamcargo, to facilitate for this a movement of these goods. But you go and get another guy who charges you 4 or 5 times higher, and you say you're riding on their competence, while the government is losing millions of dollars to that effect. I think that's not the way things should be done in government. Honorable members, we are not getting any befitting answers. We just proceed. Yes.
I just want to find out, head procurement, is Zamcargo owned by Ministry of Finance or not?
Can proceed.
Chair, I had indicated that at the beginning of my submission that we had engaged the company. It's under Ministry of Finance, correct? And we had adequately engaged the Treasury for funds, if I recall. The permanent secretary at that time, unfortunately, funds were not made available for these services. That's how we ended up engaging somebody else.
Under or owned?
Honorable members, I beg we proceed. We are not getting anything new. PS, you can quickly make your submission. We proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I went through this contract and it was like a spider's cobweb. Chair, through you, is a contract which I would request that I subject it to further investigations. It does not add up. I've failed to comprehend and connect the dots. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. We'll have a position on that. Our honorable members will proceed to the next item. Yes, you can switch off the mic. I think we move to E because all these other issues were pertaining to the same Mikalile. Award of a contract to ineligible bidder. So we move to C. The contract for design, construction of 2,350 housing units for security wings, Ministry of Home Affairs. These are loans between these so many ICB Bank and the other bank. You can proceed, honorable members. So, Honorable Sabao.
Thank you, Chair. PS, in your submission, you acknowledge your failure to avail the evaluation reports during audit due to poor record keeping. My question is, what documented evidence is there to confirm that the evaluation committee had in fact evaluated the bids? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. We are on C, honorable members. Any questions? Honorable Mumba.
I also just want to find out from the PS how possible it is that you can have a procurement meeting with such huge values and not have the report ready to complete the procurement documentation, because you need that for it to move to the next stage and to the final stage of signing off a contract. How did this happen that the report is not there?
PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Director Procurement.
Director Procurement, you can come in, and also Director Finance. I hope you were there when those things were happening. Director Finance, were you there? 2020, when did you join the ministry? Thank you. Procurement, Head Procurement, you can proceed. Or is there a chief accountant who was there? Chief accountant, who's the chief accountant for the ministry? Were you there? How long have you been at the ministry? You were there from 2021. You should have some understanding on this contract for AVIC. You can proceed, then your chief accountant will help you.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to say I was not there, but it's an old matter. It was evaluated some time back, definitely before I joined. At the time of audit, we could not trace the evaluation report. My suspicion is that during the arbitration, it could have been given to Minister of Justice. That's my suspicion. Otherwise, at the time of audit, we couldn't trace, and we couldn't trace this evaluation report.
Honorable Amnima, then Honorable Mumba.
Thank you, Chair. This evaluation report, when you look at the figure, which is $323 million, what efforts have been made to look for this? Because if your suspicion is missed, have you written to them to find out? What efforts have been made, given that during audit is complete, we are now before this committee, the report is not there, and it's a report of $323 million, a lot of money. What efforts have been made?
Thank you, Honorable Mumba.
Chairperson, this is a ministry that is responsible for upholding law. And in every meeting, there are minutes that are written so that you produce a report. Even the minutes are missing, PS.
Thank you. And that issue of missing minutes, that's a lame excuse. And if you officers are the ones advising PS to come and submit that due to record keeping, don't mislead the PS. Because you can't, government has the best system to keep information. Wherever you go, you can go to archives, you find information from so many years ago. So don't give such submissions to the PS to come and disgrace him before this committee to say due to record keeping we could not find these minutes. Maybe PS, you can proceed. Oh, yes, Honorable Mumba.
Honorable Chairperson, 3 years down the line you can miss documents? A security wing? I mean, what's this?
PS, you can proceed with those two questions from Honorable Amnyima and Honorable Mumba. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will redirect it to Head Procurement.
Yes, Honorable.
Chair, I think we need people who are there. Even him, the one we are saying head of procurement, he's also speculating. He doesn't know who was handling this matter. So may we have the right people on the table? Who are the people? Where are the minutes for this? We need the minutes for this. Otherwise, there's nothing. We'll just be going back and forth. We need the minutes of this to understand where it started from, who were involved. Then we can be able to question. Otherwise, even him he's just speculating. The Director of Finance there is saying he was not there. So can we have the Director of Finance who was sitting there, the Head of Procurement who was sitting there, or his deputies, and so forth? We need the right people here.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, Chair, I want to second that proposal. The PS is new, was not there in 2020. The officers were also new. This is a very delicate matter. Though we understand it's not query, but we need people to provide information to us. Otherwise, it's all speculation, and we don't know. So, how do we proceed, Chair?
Thank you. PS, even on some of these submissions which you've submitted under Mikalile, there are all those procurement officers. I think we need them to come and explain. The ones where we're sitting with you to ratify some of these issues, would want them to come and explain to that effect. There are names there on some of the minutes which you've attached for that contract, which you've not given us any information for your own attention. So, honorable members, PS, like we asked yesterday, we're having difficulties to proceed because we did ask that certain people, even those finance directors, chief accountants who were there, I think would want them to come and help us answer some of these questions. So, Secretariat, how many days do we have with Home Affairs?
This should have been the last day, but I don't know. I really don't know. And
because I propose that they go back. They go and bring all those people, even those you've mentioned in the minutes, and go and find these minutes. Then you come back. Because we have no answers to these things. Even going forward, what we are going to look at, there are no answers. It's the same issue. And we haven't even tackled the other contract, which is sitting under police, 69 million under Mikalile as well. We also said we want people to come. That credit financing, the one for uniforms. Yes, Honorable Farrar.
Thank you, Chair. We don't only want officers. We want the permanent secretary who was sitting there. permanent secretaries who sat in other departments before, they have been here. So we need the permanent secretary who was sitting at the Home Affairs to come here. Let him come and answer. We need him here.
Yeah, I think the other one is late. We don't know who were the other permanent secretaries who were there.
There were two.
There were two.
So if the other one has gone, let the other one who was there come.
It has always been 2 years.
Yes. So bring the other one.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Farare. There are also a controlling officer that have at least they will sit in some of the meetings. They should be aware of what is happening in that ministry. Even if you are technical, you should be aware of what is. Your other friend is signing as controlling officer, but there should be another PS. Yes. Yes, Honorable Farage.
It's like grapevine for me. Which PS are we talking about who was sitting here so that we can be able to understand? Who was the PS? Because we can say, no, he's gone, he's dead, and so forth. But what we are saying is, who was sitting here? After him, who came? If the other one has gone before us, then who came after him?
Thank you. I think, honorable members, it's a clear matter. And some of these offices also they've got a going concern. It's not that when someone goes before us and there's no continuity, and there was also the one prior, if they were part of it, would want to hear so that we can look at this matter adequately to that effect. So with that said, unless there are any other contra views, members, we are proposing that we do send our PS to go back and bring the other officers to that effect. Yes, Honorable Amnima.
Chair, thank you very much. Maybe the controlling officer can assist us on whether what we're asking for is feasible. Are these people still employees? You know, because we can be saying he brings those who are there. Where are they? So he may want to advise us whether it's feasible. If they're still employees, we are happy to have them. So I think he must guide, because I'm sure these are issues he's followed upon and is aware of. People sat on these procurement committees to single source Mikalile. Are they still employees? Where are they? Or they've been retired or what? So maybe
thank you, Honorable Amnima. I think we did look at that fact that one of the procurement, the one who was head procurement, PS mentioned is retired, but he's not the only one. That's why I said in that evaluation report, there are other people who sat. So we want those people who sat to that effect to ensure that they come and help us, because they were part of the decision. So that is the guidance. So PS, for me, what honorable members, what I would have loved is PS to go back, look for these people. If they can be called upon, then we meet at 15:30, because we don't have adequate time to also push them away. So that we come back at 15:30 and look at this matter and conclude it. Because there are also other ministries which are pending to appear back. So PS, I don't know if that would be adequate time to look at those aforesaid officers.
Chair, it will not be feasible for 15:30, because one PS, as you have alluded, passed on. The others are out of employment, so we have to locate them. The one who was head of procurement retired, he is in the farms, as I indicated earlier on. So we need to alert him, and then he can make arrangements to come on an agreed date. And then we have to mop up those that we can find to come up. But as whether we can make them available this afternoon at 15:30, that will not be possible, Chair.
Thank you, PS. Then now the way we'll proceed, we'll give you time. I think we'll advise you when you need to come and reappear, because I also don't see the essence of us proceeding and rushing this thing without coming up with an amicable conclusion. So with that said, I think we've guided you on the people we need on these contracts. Any other information supporting these contracts, evaluation reports, we want them. Yes, Honorable.
Some of these contracts, what we are seeing is they were done in 2020 The one who was doing contracts in 2020 is still alive, Mr. Masie Banda. We cannot say everything in here. This was for someone who was...
No.
No. Those who are alive, like Mr. Masie, let him come here. Let him be brought here. Let him come and answer for these revisions. Some of these contracts were being revised even after they were signed by the late Dr. Chileshe, maybe, if he was involved. May his soul rest in peace. But Mr. Banda is alive. He should be able to come here.
Thank you so much. I think PS, you're guided. I think it's straightforward. And we can proceed as such, as guided. Whoever, that's why I said whoever is available, who are part of this decision, even in the evaluation reports, let them come before this Honorable House and explain, make us understand why certain decisions were done. Then we'll have our position and our conclusion, and we can escalate these matters further. So PS, with that said, thank you so much for coming before this Honorable Committee. Let me take this opportunity to lift now the immunity which was conferred before you. Yes.
These directors for these companies, are they in Zambia, especially for Mika, the so-called Mika Hong Kong? Are they in Zambia or they are in Hong Kong? Because we want to know them. They can also come and give us their own side of the story. Were they in Hong Kong or they are here? If they are here, the PS could consider inviting them to come.
Thank you.
Even on, we have talked to Chinese before here. Where they are talking from Dubai and they're telling us, say, they had connections in the system. We want to know.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for that submission. PS, you are guided. That would want, because I think there's consistently a company we are dealing with on the credit financing, on these clearing services, issues of AVIC and all that. So we are guided that we would want to have also hear them, so that we give rules of natural justice is that we give people opportunity to be heard, so that some of these issues are corrected and we have the position. So we are guided, PS, to that effect. Thank you so much. I hope, honorable members, there's no any other issue. Any other issue before I proceed to lift the immunity? I see none. So PS, thank you so much for coming to appear before this honorable committee. Our role is to ensure that we provide the foresight needed to the executive, even as they appropriate funds on behalf of the Zambian people to that effect. So PS, thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to lift the immunity which was conferred before you. You'll be communicated to, and also let your officers liaise with our clerk to ensure that once you get hold of those people, we can quickly push on a date when you can come and reappear before this honorable committee. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Zambia. Even saying the word is a multi-sensory experience. It somehow captures something of the essence of this special place in the warm heart of southern Africa. Take in the mighty Zambezi River, the majestic Victoria Falls that form Zambia's natural southern border, and the national parks overflowing with wildlife. Immerse yourself in the fast-growing towns and cities, teeming with history, light, and life. Then visit the vast lakes that seem to touch the stars and engage with a plethora of different ethnic groups, cultures, and languages. Together, they make up the intricately woven fabric of this remarkable country. To visit Zambia is to begin a love affair that will never be exhausted, and unlike any that you have ever experienced before. For all the superlatives that man has used in his attempts to describe Victoria Falls, none are able to do this incredible natural wonder justice. You have to see it for yourself. It is a truly awe-inspiring experience. Livingston, once Zambia's capital, and the Zambian side of the falls have become a mecca for discerning adventure tourists. Peer into the abyss from Devil's Pool at the edge of the falls,